2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. I feel like I'm safe, but my partner doesn't think I am. What do we do? Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin. What's up, Tyler?
How's it going, man?
Good. Hey, can I read a quick review?
Yeah, it's nice to get some reviews. We got a couple of them that came through this week.
And they're awesome. They're great.
We appreciate them.
So one of them says, huge help. Brannon and Tyler have been a huge help in me navigating the waters of my separation from my wife due to my poor coping behaviors related to my addiction. They have also helped me to better understand how true masculinity looks and how that actually creates safety for me and my family. Regardless of the outcome of my separation, following their advice has improved my mental health around the anxieties associated with those potential outcomes, giving me peace with either outcome, and my relationship with my wife has actually been improving. Thank you, Tyler and Brannon.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Love that. Sounds like someone trying to do their work.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Tyler, should we get on with it, or anything you need to say to me as my brother? Like, get it out, before we get into this episode.
No,
I'm open for it. I'll do all the work we need as my family member. Like, we can sit down, we can do it.
No, it's we'll save that for later.
Okay.
Our guest today, it's nice because we've got the two Patrick brothers, and we're going to be speaking with Patrick today. So Patrick's three ways around here. But Patrick, welcome to the show, man. Glad you're willing to come on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Tyler, just side note. I have a t-shirt that says oversized leprechaun. Which I can wear.
Because our last name is Patrick.
Yes.
Even though we have zero Irish in us.
Actually, we do have some Irish. If you look close, we got some.
A sliver.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, Patrick.
Good.
If you could give us a little bit of background and tell us what's going on with you, that'd be awesome.
Sure. So I've been married about 7 years, and recently my wife has told me she's been unhappy for a good portion of it. Admittedly, I should have picked up on a lot of that sooner. Not that I didn't know there were some things, but certainly I didn't realize the degree to which she has been unhappy. But anyways, last February, she started talking about divorce and how she feels unsafe, both for her and for our children. And so since then, I've been trying to do everything I can do to, repair and salvage our marriage. And at the same time, I feel like there's some work that she can be doing that she is either unwilling or just too burnt out to be doing. So as it stands right now, she kind of wants a divorce. She said she also wants full custody of the kids if that happens. I've told her that I think the marriage is salvageable, but if it goes that direction, I would absolutely fight for joint custody of our children. But anyway, right now we just feel stuck. And so that's where we're at. And if we need to go into a little more detail on anything, that's fine. Just let me know.
Just curious, how many kids do you have?
2 kids.
2, and they're young.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. 4 years old is our oldest.
Oh, it's your oldest. Okay. Go ahead, Tyler.
No, I was just wondering, like, what in the 7 years of marriage, can you talk a little bit about why you've become unsafe in those 7 years, or what the backstory is that would lead to the place that you guys are at right now?
Yeah, so I feel like I'm an incredibly safe person. But she said in the last couple years, there's been a couple times where she woke up and she says that I was inappropriately touching our children. Or often they end up in our bed, when they're that young. And then she says she has woke up with bruises on her body, and there are nothing that I have any memory of doing anything. Both of those things are so far from my core beliefs and who I know I am, and so I don't know what to do about that. I have gone to a therapist. I've gone to a doctor to talk about some of this stuff, and from what I've talked to them, they don't think that there's a threat there, but neither of those have been very reassuring to my wife. So
has there been any other history of any like hiding things from her, some porn use you're hiding, or
no,
any infidelity or anything like that?
No. We talked before we got married. I had some issues. I wouldn't say I was ever addicted, but throughout our marriage, it has not been any issues.
Yeah.
There's never been any other safety issues when it comes to, like, any type of domestic violence, physical abuse?
No.
So the issue, the whole crux of this is around the fact that in your sleep, there have been some instances that have led to your wife feeling unsafe because she's physically woken up with bruises before, but
yes.
But you guys don't have a history of any other kind of violence with each other.
No.
Physically woken up with bruises. Like, did she get woken up because you hit her, or did she wake up and there was a bruise like on her body?
Yeah, from what I've understand, she woke up and there was the bruise. That's my understanding of it.
Yeah. Do you see why that distinction matters?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What about other things in the marriage? Like, has there been good connection? Are you emotionally connected? Is there empathy? Is there other trust in the relationship, or is it breaking down?
Yes. So she does say she doesn't feel emotionally connected with me. She's much more outgoing. I'm much more introverted, and I don't talk to her as much as I should. As much as she wants, at least to get fulfilled that way. And I'm trying to be better at that. It's just not natural to me, but that has been a big issue that she's talked about.
can you, I know this sounds weird, but can you tell me a little bit about even before you guys got married, like what brought you two together? Why did she like you? Why did you like her? Um,
Yeah.
how did you guys come together?
Um, we both went to college at the same college. We actually never got together in college, but we're both from the same area. After college, we met up at a church function and just started hanging out in groups and enjoyed each other's company. And took me a while to ask her out, but did, and we started dating, and you know, got married. We did have a little bit of differences of the outgoing versus the introverted, but um, we liked each other, and I thought we have been having a good marriage, not without a few issues here and there, but this has all been rather shocking to me.
I'm gonna wonder out loud. So I don't want to ask a
Sure.
question. I don't want to ask a question, but I'm gonna kind of ask a question. And the reason is because I don't know if it's okay to answer these questions in terms of her privacy. So I wonder about her past trauma. I wonder about past abuse. So the two things that I'm wondering about are this. I'm wondering about her past stuff coming out in the relationship. And the second piece I'm wondering about is how safe are you really? Like if those things are actually happening, then that absolutely is scary and not okay.
Yes.
So it's both sides of that coin. And I think it's important to try to really understand what's actually going on here.
Yes.
So, but I don't know if it's appropriate for us to talk about her
No.
trauma and her
Right.
abuse and stuff like that. So,
Right. So yeah, and yeah, we can't do things for her, and she's not here to answer for herself. So we can put that focus on me. What I'm willing to do anything to to show that I'm safe. Because I feel that I am, and I don't. Do you have any thoughts? Anything like that I can be doing to? If I am an unsafe person and I don't know, I have something going on that I'm not recognizing, I want to see it.
So I mean, there's the simple logistical thing. Like, here's where there's definitely a place where the breakdown could be happening, and it has less to do with what's actually happening and more to do with how it might be being handled. If I go to bed next to my wife, and this has actually happened, so and my wife wakes up with a black eye, and then she's like, I don't feel safe, and I'm like, I'm totally safe. Like I am totally safe. That might not actually be true, and my response to her is actually diminishing what her fears and concerns are when there might actually be something legitimate, even though I know that I didn't intentionally do anything. And in our case, what ended up happening is that I end up sleeping. And when I sleep, I raise my elbows and I put them by my head. And then when my wife rolled over in bed, she rolled her face right into my elbow and I gave her a black eye. So that I wasn't safe. I didn't necessarily physically try to hurt her or abuse her, but I wasn't safe in that moment. The other thing that happens with me personally is my wife calls it sleep fighting, but sometimes when I'm dreaming, I'll flail and throw my hands and my legs and my feet. And there have been times when it's been a pretty close call to actually making physical contact with her. That wouldn't actually make her physically safe if I were to hit her, whether I meant to or not.
Sure.
Right.
but yeah, I
So
think,
am I safe?
but Tyler, it's kind of apples and oranges. Like I hear what you're saying. And the reality is you putting your elbows up, that doesn't make you unsafe. It makes the combination of you and your wife in bed together unsafe, right?
Okay, so then you should address that.
Right, but if she's coming and saying you're abusing the children, we're talking about a whole other level, right? But you should address that. Yes. But like what I totally agree with the point that you're making, Tyler, of like, if that is unsafe for her to sleep in that bed, then that is valid and that should be dealt with care and love and compassion. Absolutely.
That's my point.
Yes.
There needs to be validation and care and compassion and understanding, and not just a defense of, well, I am safe.
Absolutely. Like that.
I'm not saying that's an admission of guilt either.
Right.
Right. But the situation is not safe, right? But if she's saying something like you're abusing the children, like that's an important thing to know what's actually going on there, right?
Yeah. Well, and there's so much and that's the hard part is Brannon, you and I don't have all those details. Is it the kind of thing where the kid snuggles into bed and you happen to wrap your arm around him and you're holding while you sleep? Is that look abusive, or is there something actually physically going on?
Yeah.
And that would be something that would have to be discussed. And I would suggest probably between Patrick and his wife, hopefully maybe even with the third party present, to try to really, with curiosity and trying to come to an understanding of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
That would be really important to be doing.
Yep. I wonder, back to Patrick's question here, her aside, okay, whether she has a lot of trauma, whether she doesn't, her aside, what can Patrick do to actually create safety in the relationship? And Tyler, you just hit on one of them, is to stop for a minute and make sure you're not getting defensive, and validate her fears. It doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but you can absolutely hear her. Do you know what we mean by that, Patrick?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Because I think it is easy to get defensive there, at least for me, and how that can go south quickly. So yeah, validating what she is saying and trying to create that. At least I recognize what she's saying and talking.
How do you validate it? Like, what does that look like? Do you know?
It's not a skill that I have. I've been working on it, but addressing. I see why you would feel unsafe because of that, and maybe here's what we can do to mitigate or work on it.
Tyler, what do you think?
I think he's on the right track with that. It's, the key to this is to connect to the emotion of your partner without having to agree to whatever the details or the, accusation is. So yeah, if I look at it, have I ever felt unsafe? Have I ever not really understood something and maybe wondered if it was safe to tread like deeper into those waters? Yeah, I felt that way before. I'm going to meet my partner with that energy and say, hey, it makes sense. Like if you're feeling this and this and this, nobody likes to feel this way. And I can get that causes a lot of fear. Right. Let's figure out how to address that fear. Now that's a much different way than like, but I swear I'm safe. I swear I'm safe.
Wow.
Like, now as we go into addressing the fear, that's going to be something that I have to maintain the same level of energy of, hey, I'm concerned and let's brainstorm how we might get to safety. But I'm also, I honestly, I see it and feel it differently than you do too. And that matters too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Both need to be validated. Yeah. So that's step number one. Like, it's not about agreeing, and it's also not about taking on, like, if she says, Patrick, you're a scumbag, you don't have to say, oh, I agree with you. Like, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
But Patrick, I don't feel safe when I lay in bed with you because I feel like I could get hurt or the children could get hurt. You can absolutely like not take that personal. I know that's hard. Back out of that and think about what it would be like for a woman to lay in bed with someone that she doesn't feel safe with. Like that's scary.
Yeah.
Right. And for you to really connect to that of like, that's scary. And God, if I'm doing things in my sleep, like I got to figure that out, or I need to figure out how to support her in feeling scared there. So that's step number one. And you brought up that you struggle with emotional connection in the relationship, or at least that's the feedback that she's given you, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so this is the very thing we're talking about. Right?
Yes.
Practicing that empathy.
I think there's something else that's more of a broader picture thing too with the relationship that would be worth doing. And that is, a lot of times when there's a situation, it feels like it's an all or nothing kind of a thing. And sometimes actually, like this happens with trust all the time. Sometimes actually coming to an understanding of where trust is breaking down versus where there still is trust in the relationship. Right. So, if I'm telling deceptive things, there's no trust in that, right? And yet I still go to work every day and I show up and I provide for my family. My wife can at least trust in my ability to go and provide for the family. She just can't trust what I'm going to say. Right. And in your situation, there might be some other elements to safety and trust that would need to be brought into the full bigger picture to say, okay, is this an all or nothing thing? Because there's probably some other indicators that would say that we're either trending in the right direction with safety and trust, or we're not trending in the right direction with safety and trust. And if there's other flags that start to pop up, those will either help to make a more clear picture of like, hey, things really aren't safe, or there'll also be the other side, which is actually, this is just an issue that needs to be dealt with, but there's actually general pretty much good safety in our relationship. But broadening that out to taking a look at things, and that's why Brannon, I think, asking the question about you guys' connection in other ways. If the relationship isn't being nurtured in all sorts of other ways, then these kinds of things get and feel much, much bigger because there's no other currency to draw from in other parts of the relationship.
And so do you have any thoughts about how to do that right now? Because right now it's, this is just on my brain, 24/7. And so it's hard to, when we get a chance to talk, it's what comes out, and we're not having a lot of other good discussions. It's just this heavy stuff all the time whenever we get a chance to, it seems like.
Yeah. Do you ever have fun together? Like,
She doesn't really like hanging out with me right now.
Okay. So you're not spending very much time together.
Not a lot. I mean, we're separated in that I'm not sleeping there, and so I come home from work and I'm there. I'm with her, with the kids, and we get them to bed, and then I go, and that's about it. We still on weekends, we're doing stuff together with the kids, but certainly we're not going on dates or anything like that.
Has there been? This is from what Tyler was saying. I'm going to ask you this random question, but throughout the marriage, has there been a lot of like obligatory sex? Do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah. She said yes.
Yeah.
I didn't think that. I thought we were both on the same page. But that hasn't been her experience.
Yeah. So, I mean, from her standpoint, she might be feeling like, "Gall, there's pressure there. I've had to do things that I really haven't enjoyed. I felt forced." And so you get to a point where it's like, I just need my space and my distance from you. And from your standpoint, you're like, what? Like, I thought I was just like, I thought this was marriage. And, but there's trauma there on her part of feeling like her heart hasn't been connected to and held, but her body has been used. And if that's the case, then there is an element of breakdown in trust on a sexual, physical level, even emotional and spiritual. And so the reason I bring this up, Patrick, is because it can get us to some answers for you, where you look at this and say, okay, I've been oblivious to that. How did I become oblivious to that? How am I not actually connected to her heart? How have I used her? And why have I used her? And these are hard questions to ask yourself, but I think they're important for you to look at that and say, my version of love in a relationship, it might not really be love, and how can I shift that to actually loving her, right? So, what are you thinking, Patrick, as I'm saying this?
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to re-listen to this and get all of these questions down and really take the time to go through them honestly and sincerely. But no, I like what you're telling me, what you're giving me here. Things that I can actually work on that make sense and can address some of these things that, like you said, I have been oblivious to, and I want to change.
There's with what Brannon just teased out here a little bit, if this is true, you could see how just the miscommunication and what you guys were thinking about how your sex life is playing out or your love life is playing out. If there's that big of a gap in communication, it would make total sense why she wouldn't feel safe. Because
which, by the way, Patrick, isn't all on you.
No. Like, it's actually on both, and that's where it leads me. Like, I'm thinking of like that acronym that Brene Brown uses on trust, and the first one is boundaries. Something hasn't been right in you guys' boundaries with each other because there hasn't been the communication for her to be able to say, "Hey, this isn't working for me," and you're like over here like, "Hey, this is great. This is marriage." Like, whatever. Like. There were no boundaries that were actually setting things in motion, which then leads to that feeling of being used or dismissed or not seen or devalued or whatever else. Things like values, like reliability. Am I reliable? Is she reliable? Are we both accountable for our own actions and our work we're doing towards the relationship? All of those things, a little at a time, build trust. But in order to get there, you have to be able to tease out this thing. It's like, man, we have a big gap in communication. And the question Brandon is asking is great because it has to do with accountability. Is the first question is, how is it that I might not fully understand this or see it properly? Now, she might have her own side too, but I can only control what I can control. And if I was here going like this, and this is a very common thing that happens in marriages, it happens more often later on in marriage, about 15, 20 years into marriage, and it happens more often to the men than the women, that the men are just like, hey, everything's great, it's hunky-dory, like things are fine in the marriage, and all of a sudden their wife is gone and divorcing him, and he doesn't even know why. And it's because he hasn't been attuned to the relationship, and oftentimes she hasn't had the voice that she needed when it was smaller before it got too big. And so being able to ask those questions to self would then hopefully lead you into the right kinds of questions and discussions to have with your wife.
Sure.
Right.
Getting attuned to the relationship. I want to caution you, Patrick. It sounds like you've suffered from some obliviousness a little bit. And what we're not saying is to then shift over into anxiety. Like, well, I've been kind of maybe oblivious to some of this stuff, and I've just been like, chugging along, and now I'm going to be so attuned to everything about where you're so connected to all her fear, and that's just going to create more fear inside of her. So what do you shift it into? This obliviousness doesn't go to anxiety. What does it turn into?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm following you completely.
Tyler, do you want to explain, Tyler? I think.
Yeah. So the word that I would use, and this would be a heavy dose of this for all parts of the relationship, would be curiosity. So I've been going through my marriage on autopilot, thinking, like, we're just using this example of like obligatory sex. I thought it was just, this is just us connecting. This is just our relationship. And she's over here going, man, I've really felt like I've had to, and I've been used, and this and that and the other. That Brannon's saying, if you found that out and realized, oh my gosh, I didn't realize my wife was feeling that, then you have a tendency to go into anxiety and be like, I'm going to go please her, and I'm going to always make sure she's okay, and I'm going to make sure. That's not what Brannon's saying. Brannon's saying, meet it with honest curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, curiosity is the key word here, as in the pathway forward is, I need to be a little bit more mindful. And the way that I'm going to be more mindful is I'm going to get curious with things that I haven't been curious with before. I'm going to start paying attention to my autopilot and then asking some questions about my autopilot. And I'm going to start paying attention to my wife and start asking curious questions to her instead of needing to defend myself or explain myself away.
But I do that because I have the strength within myself to do that. So I don't do that out of a place of fear because I feel like I'm going to mess up and like I'm just trying to build trust with her. No. No, you're not anxious about her fear. You let her fear be there, but you can show up honest and really caring and really empathetic. You don't get your truths from her, but at the same time, you validate how she feels, and it's a really tricky thing to do, Patrick. Is to allow her to be her, but stand on your own 2 feet, but really care about her at the same time. That's what will build some safety and trust with her. Am I speaking a foreign language here?
No, I think that's making more sense. I guess one thing to clarify. So, because I do think I am trying to please her now, and so what's the balance? Like that's it's just in the where it's coming from. What is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, I think you're right. This is the energy Brennan's talking about. It's either going to come from an energy of strength and curiosity, or it's going to come from an energy of anxiety and fear.
Okay.
And so you have to ask yourself, whatever you're doing right now, this is between really you and your higher power, between you and God. You got to get in the habit of cultivating your life in such a way that you're pursuing God's endorsement of what you're going to do to be your best man today. Mm-hmm. And if God says, hey, go and attend to her and check in on her and make sure she's okay, then you're doing it from a place of love and groundedness. Whereas if you're like, oh, she might leave me, I better hurry and go check on her, make sure she's okay. Like your energy with which you pursue that very same thing either makes it healthy or not healthy for yourself and for the relationship.
Gotcha.
So there has to be a groundedness and a pursuit of my best self. So when I wake up and I'm like, okay, what kind of man do I want to be today? I want to be a man who lives in his principles, a man who's honest, a man who stands for truth, a man who fights for his wife and his children. That's who God designed me to be today. How do I best do that in a way that I can check in on the mirror at the end of the day and like what I see in the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
But that last part matters. Like the person staring back from the mirror is what really matters at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Tyler, you said your relationship with God, and to me, what that means is that you have this ability to tap into what is truth for you, independent of your wife, and so like let me give you an example, Patrick. Let's see what you do with this. You've worked all day, you're really tired, You're like exhausted, and you get home, and your wife's like, "Hey, you gonna mow the lawn? You gonna mow it?" Like, what would be fighting for your wife in that moment? Caring about her heart.
Maybe reassuring her that yes, I will do it, but maybe right now I just need a little bit of a rest. And
She throws her hands in the air like, "Yeah, you said that for the last 3 days. You're never gonna get it done."
yeah,
So she makes it harder. So now what are you gonna do?
tell her, hey, I love you. I will get it done. I promise I'll do it. Put a time to it.
Okay. So what I would do is what we've been talking about, curiosity, right?
Okay.
Step in with her a little bit. Whoa, getting the lawn mowed right now seems really important to you. Tell me more about that.
Okay.
So then she has a conversation. You validate her. You understand her. And then hopefully, and maybe she might give you this, she might not, but hopefully she'll give you some space to say, "This is where I'm at. I totally get why you want it mowed. This is why I can't do it in this moment. I can get to it in the morning." So we're coming back to your truth and you trusting your truth.
Mm-hmm.
A woman wants to know that a man has his purpose and understands his truth regardless of her. Like, it is so important for them to know that about you. And she also wants to know that she's with a man who cares deeply about her pain and her heart. And so it's those two things together. When you have those two things together, you create safety with her. If you only have one and not the other, it doesn't work. And if you lack either, then you go to this Mr. Nice Guy compliance mode or this apathetic, oblivious mode. And obviously those don't work either, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you see that in that example, Patrick?
Yes.
How you get curious, you step in, but you stay honest and boundaried, but you care?
Mm-hmm.
That takes some fortitude and some strength on your part.
It also takes some training on learning how to actually attend to and show that you care, even if you're not going to do the thing that was being asked. Without getting sucked into, I mean, did you hear how quickly this happened? And Patrick, you're a perfect example of this. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that will relate to this. Brannon starts doing this, and you went directly to a quick answer of, "I promise I'll mow it tomorrow." Instead of what the real issue was. Tell me more. Why is the lawn such a big deal right now? Help me understand that.
But Tyler, you're like you genuinely have to care about her and not about you, right?
No,
not about
yeah, it's
defending
like,
you, and that's what you're saying, right?
Geez, babe, the fact that you brought the lawn up and you brought it up with so much energy tells me something's going on there. Like, tell me more about that.
I love you. I care about you.
I want to know why this is causing such a rift. And then she might say, "Well, because I've been asked you 4 times." Okay, well, you're gonna have to ask. You're probably gonna follow up with curious questions 4 or 5 times before you get to the root of it, which is, well, I've told you 3 or 4 times. Oh, so you're telling me that you're feeling like I don't listen to you? Yeah, that's part of it. And then we have a house together, and da 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 da. And it's like, oh, so if I take care of the lawn, it shows that I'm committed to the relationship because I'm committed to the things we're building, and I'm showing that I'm listening. Is that right?
It goes deeper, yeah.
Right. And then it's like, da, da, da. And then finally, by the time you get to the bottom of it, you'll notice in your partner, you'll notice in their body language and their tone of voice that it's like, okay, he gets me. Mm-hmm. Like, at that point, I might still have to say, "Hey, I get all of that. I want you to know that I am committed. I am not always the best listener, but I'm definitely going to be working on that. And you know what? Tonight, I just do not have the energy. I'm spent. I'm emotionally done. Let's make sure that I can make a commitment that I can follow through on. And this is when I get the lawn done. But bigger than that, I want you to know that I see you and that I am still here and I'm committed." Because that was really at the core of the lawn in the first place. It wasn't the lawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And where we go wrong all the time is we go with the protest and then we fight over the protest and we never get to the actual emotions underneath the protest.
The heart. To the heart.
That's probably a piece of what's going on in your current relationship with this whole reason you came on in the first place around safety.
Mm-hmm.
Is that safety never gets addressed because it's always about you're dangerous. Well,
Yeah.
let's get curious about what that actually means. Let's work on the logistical things that we can, and then meet her with more curiosity and strength and saying, hey, I'm willing to do what it takes. And I'm not doing the things that you think I'm doing, at least consciously. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's both.
And you know what, Patrick, like logistically, maybe for a time you sleep, well, you are separated now, right? So you are doing that. But like, even when you get back together, maybe you sleep in the bedroom next door, you know, just to be like, I care. Like, I really want to make sure you're not waking up with bruises.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of that with my own situation is that after Brianna woke up with a black eye once, and there was a second time when I woke up where I'd actually like gotten her with an elbow too, like in the ribs or something. I was like, oh, wow. We talked about it the next day, and I said, do you want me to like sleep in a different bed? And she said, no, I actually like being close to you. I just don't, it's just hard when you're sleeping because there's no control. And for us, it was as simple as going from a queen size bed to a king size bed, and there was just enough space that then allowed for there to be me to kick around a little bit more without the danger of, you know, there was more room to operate. And that it might be something as simple as that kind of stuff logistically.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Patrick, we're wrapping up. I want to ask you one question. Do you love her?
I do.
You love her. Okay. And you want her to feel safe and trust you?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you'd be here asking these questions if that weren't the case. There's a lot of things on your end that I think you can work on. That's a good thing for you. That means there's a lot of opportunity. Where there's deficiency, there's opportunity, which is good. But I would get really clear with practicing your healthy masculinity, practicing empathy, like genuine empathy with her, and staying grounded and honest with her. And she'll give you some opportunities to do so. Now, will she give you opportunity fully to re-engage intimately and have full trust? That's up to her. She's gonna have to eventually do that work to do that with you. That's outside your control. But if you can surrender that and work on you, that's all that you can do.
Okay. So I was gonna ask, do you guys have any like books or anything to recommend to practice those, like specifically that curiosity kind of showing up that way?
There's one that I really like. I don't know if Brannon would recommend it or not, but it's called The Bonds That Make Us Free. I like that book a lot because it has to do with keeping your own personal empowerment and accountability while also being very curious about situations and relationships.
It's interesting you ask that question because there's the philosophical side of things, which I think you need to take a look at and work on. So, and maybe you've read it already, but like my favorite book is The Four Agreements. And if you simply applied those four agreements to this situation, then it would change everything for you. But he's a bit more philosophical about things, which I love it. But it's a really simple, easy book to read. Bonds That Make Us Free, like Tyler said, that book is about healthy attachment and interdependency in a relationship. So it gives you a good idea of how to show up as an interdependent partner, basically. But both of these books have in there really learning how not to take personally the other person's stuff so that you can show up in your power. There's another book. It's about communication that you could reference and practice. It gives you some real practical tools. It's called Nonviolent Communication by Rosenberg. And it's hard. It's hard to do and hard to practice, but it gives you some really good tools to do this. in terms of speaking honestly and practicing that curiosity and things. So there's some stuff for you that should keep you busy for a while, Patrick.
Sure. No, I really appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys do.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you, Patrick, for your courage and willingness to come on, especially around such a, difficult topic. Wish you and your wife the best of luck. And for those of you guys listening, if this rings a bell, if it stirs something inside of you, please, check in with us. Go to therapybros.com, come be a caller on the show yourself, or throw a comment or a shout out through a review on one of the platforms to Patrick. And until next time, you guys keep on keeping on.